everyone, I am Priyanshi from Maharaj EduFocus Private Limited. So students, if you want to know information in detail about your English learning or else, then stay connected to JME channel and don't forget to like and subscribe our channel, because your one like and one subscribe is motivating me to find out more and more information to share with you. And don't forget to hit that bell icon. And students, in today's lesson, I am going to give you information in detail about your IELTS listening task. So, let's first begin with point number 1, and that is about exam type. So, students, for your listening task, there will be conducted same content and same format for both the types of exam, general training test and academic test. Now, let's see point number 2, which is about question types. So, students, in your IELTS listening task, total 40 questions are asked, and 40 questions are divided into 4 sections. Section 1, 2, 3 and 4. Section 1 and 2 are social, and section 3 and 4 are academic. Now students, section 1 and 2 are the easiest, but section 3 and 4 are difficult. Now, in your section 1, there will be 2 speakers. For example, it may be phone conversation. Let's say you have ordered something online, but you didn't receive your order. So, you will call to customer care number. So, at that time, the front person will ask you your phone number, address and name. So, it is quite easy to understand and to answer. Now, let's see about section 2. And in section 2, there will be only one speaker. For example, if you are visiting Taj Mahal, then there will be a tour guide who will explain you in detail about Taj Mahal and its history. Now, let's see about section number 3, which is academic task 1. So, students, in section 3, there will be conversation of 3 to 4 speakers. So, it is challenging because it's a discussion, academic discussion. And at the same time, you have to identify that who is speaking what at what time. So, it is quite difficult. And for section number 4, it will be academic lecture of only one speaker. So, this is also difficult. So, students, as I have explained you in detail about exam type in point number 1 and about question type in point number 2. So, now let's discuss in detail about point number 3, which is very important in any of the exam, and that is all about timing. Now, let's see in detail about timing. So, students, in your IELTS listening task, you are going to get 40 minutes, and your 40 minutes are divided into 2 parts. 30 minutes of audio and 10 minutes for transferring answers into answer sheet. Now students, when the audio is going on, at that time you have to write your answers into question paper, and after completion of your 30 minutes, you are going to get 10 minutes, and during that 10 minutes you have to transfer your answers into answer sheet. Now, let's see point number 4, which is about practice. So, as we all know that if we have to get successful, then all we need to do is as much as possible practice. And that is needed in every field, let's say dancing, singing as well for education. So now let's see how to do practice for your listening task. So students, when you are doing practice at home, at that time remember that you have to do practice same as you are giving your exam. And students, if possible, then do practice on the answer sheet which you are going to get in your exam. Now the question is, from where to get answer sheet? So students, you can get your answer sheet on Google. So you can download it and print it out, and you can easily able to do practice in your answer sheet. And students, one important thing I would like to say, because most of students are having question that what to use, pencil or pen. So students, I suggest that have a use of pencil. Now let's see point number 5, which is about recording. So students, in your IELTS listening task, audio go play only once and it is not repeated. So students, you have to do as much as possible practice and you have to be accurate, because in your IELTS listening task you are going to be multitasking. Why multitasking? Because when the audio is going on, at the same time you have to hear the audio, read the question and write the answer. So you are going to be multitasking. So students, I request that do more and more practice and be accurate in your IELTS listening task. Now let's see point number 6, which is about capital letters or lowercase. Students, it's a very important point that plays a major role in your IELTS listening task. Now students, I suggest that if you start to write with capital letters, then continue with that. And if you write in a lowercase, then student, please continue with that. Don't mix two letters. If you will mix, then definitely you are not going to score good bands. Now let's see point number 7, which is about number of words. Now students, on your question paper, at the very first part, instruction will be included that no more than 2 words and or number. So student, it can also be 1 word, it can also be 2 word, it can also be 2 word and a number, and can also be a number. So you have to be careful and read the instructions. Now students, I suggest that when you see the instruction, at that time underline that instruction so you will not get forget. And students, if the instruction is given like no more than 3 words, then your small word is also counted. So students, read the instruction carefully. As the same way for numbers. For example, if there is 1950, so it is counted 1 number. Now, especially I would like to say one important thing about numericals, and that is many of students facing a problem with numericals like 1550, 1330. So students, I request that before going for exam, go through all the numericals. Now let's see point number 8, which is about prepositions. Now lots of students ask me that should we use prepositions? So students, that completely depends on your question types, because in your IELTS there are so many types of questions asked: summary completion, sentence completion, etc. Now for example, if it is like place and then dash, so you will write garden. Or if it is like the best place to meet is in the garden. So students, all you need to do is make a notes while the audio is going on. Now let's see point number 9, which is about spelling mistakes. So students, you have to be very much careful with your spellings, because if you will do small mistake, then also your answer will consider as a wrong. And that's obvious that when the audio is going on, at that time you are not going to get much time to think about spelling. So you are going to get 10 minutes. So during that 10 minutes, you have to be very much careful and write the answers to get a good band scores. Now let's see point number 10, which is about words or letters. So students, you have to be very much careful in your multiple choice question, because if it is given like answer in letters, then you have to answer in letters. Instead, if you will answer in whole word, then also your answer is considered as wrong. Now let's see point number 11, which is very important, and that is about question types. So students, in your IELTS listening task, total 10 types of questions are asked, and you need to go through all the 10 types of questions before you go for your exam. Because in exam you are not going to get enough time to understand the question, that what you have to do in this or that question. So student, I request that before going for exam, you have to go through all the 10 types of question to get a good band scores. Now I am going to explain you in detail about all the types of question. So let's begin with question type number 1, and that is about multiple choice question. Now multiple choice question is quite difficult in your IELTS listening task, because sometimes it happens like there will be 10 options and you have to pick out 3 to 4 answers from that, so it becomes quite difficult. And especially it comes in section 3, where 3 to 4 speakers are speaking and you have to identify person name, so it is quite difficult. So you have to do as much as possible practice. Now let's see question type number 2, which is about map completion. Students, in map completion, it might be street map, building map, town map, so you have to label it. So students, before you go for exam, learn how to label maps. Now let's see question type number 3, which is about diagram completion. So students, in your diagram completion, you are going to get one picture and you have to label it. So it is quite easy. So now let's see question type number 4, which is about phone completion, and that is also very common, which is in section 1. So students, go through this all the type of question before entering to examination hall. Now let's see question type number 5, which is about note completion. You all may know about the note completion because that's very common. So now let's see question type number 6 and 7. In question type 6 and 7, it is summary completion and sentence completion. Students, in sentence completion, you just have to complete one sentence, and in summary completion, you have to complete one small paragraph. So that's also very common, you may all know. Now students, let's see question type number 8, which is about short answer question completion. Now students, short answer question completion is very easy. You just have to answer in a short word. Now let's see question type number 9, which is about table completion. And in table completion, you just have to complete the table. And question type number 10 is all about graph completion. So students, I have explained you in detail about all the 10 types of question. Now I request you that before going to examination, do as much as possible practice of all these 10 types of question, because if you want to score good bands, you should know what you have to do in question. If you will get to know what you have to do, then it will be quite easy for you to reach your band score. Now let's see point number 12, which is about in your listening task, you don't have to try to understand all the things. Because students, in your listening task, you are going to hear audio of total 30 minutes, and when the audio is going on, at that time you are going to listen lots of extra information. So students, you just have to concentrate on your question and try to find out proper answer in a given time period. Now let's see point number 13, which is about you need to prepare question and answers. Means students, when the audio starts, it will come like now prepare question 1 to 5. So at that time you are going to prepare your question 1 to 5, and after a couple of minutes again it will come like now prepare question 6, 7, 8 and 9. So student, all I want to say is you have to do as much as possible practice, because in your exam you are not going to get enough time. Students, for example, if the question is asked of sentence completion and the question is like the D-cube building was built by dash. So what you have to do is you just have to underline the keywords. Now for this question, keywords are building and built. So I will underline that. Now for this question, you all will think that answer must be of person's name. But no, it can be preposition, because IELTS is all about English language testing exam. So students, it can be like the D-cube building was built by someone, or it may be a company name, or it can also be like D-cube was constructed by dash. So students, all you have to do is just underline the keywords so you can easily able to find out answer when the audio is going on, and you have to be accurate while the audio is going on. Now let's see point number 14, which is about answers. So students, in your IELTS listening task, answers can come quickly, and it is not mandatory that answers should come on interval of time. Students, in your IELTS listening task, sometimes answer comes too quickly, and sometimes it happens like 2-3 answers come suddenly. So students, all you need to do is just don't concentrate on one question. You also have to look on given below question. So students, you can easily able to answer all your question. Now because answers are coming too quickly, so you are not going to get enough time to write full answer. So at that time what you have to do is write short answer, make a notes. Like if the answer is university, then write UNI and move to further questions. By doing this, you can able to answer all your questions. Students, you can also make notes of all possible answers, and you can write freely on your question paper, because question paper is not going to check by your examiner. Students, by making notes, you can easily able to answer all your question in a given period. Another important thing I would like to say is about gap between answers. In this, most of students get panic, because sometimes it happens like audio goes on, but the answers are not coming. So you will get nervous. But students, it is not mandatory that answer should come in sequence. It can come in some interval of time. So students, at that time you just have to be calm and listen to the audio and make a note, so you can easily able to find out correct answer. Now let's see point number 15, which is about common traps. Students, these are the ways from which the examiner checks your understanding and your vocabulary skills. Now I am going to give an example so that you can easily understand. So students, if the answer is like, shall we do meeting at 10 o'clock? Yes, definitely. So your answer will be 10 o'clock. But after some time, suddenly the speaker says, oh, actually, sorry, how about half past? So your answer will will get changed from 10 o'clock to 10:30. So students, when the audio is going on, at that time you have to be accurate and listen carefully to the audio. Students, another trap is when you hear the same words which are in the question and in the audio. So students, you will think that my answer is this. But student, it can be trap because in IELTS, instead of using similar words, they use paraphrase. So students, be little bit suspicious when you hear same words. Now, let's see point number 16, which is about repeated answers. Students, if you will look at section 3 where 3 to 4 speakers are communicating. So students, that obvious that when 3 to 4 speakers are communicating, they may repeat it again and again, like, is this what you say? Is this what you mean to say? So you have to hear it carefully. Now, let's see point number 17, which is about listen to plurals. Students, you have to be powerful listener in your IELTS listening task because most of foreign speakers struggles to hear plurals. And students, if you are said to answer in plural, then you're supposed to answer in plural. If you will not do that, then your answer will consider as incorrect and definitely you will not going to score good bands. Now, let's see point number 18, which is about band score from the correct answers. Students, in your IELTS, band scores are decided from your number of correct answers. Let's say if you want 5.5, then your answers 18 to 22 should be correct. If you want 6 band, then 23 to 25 answers should be correct. And students, if you want to score 7 bands, then you have to answer 30 to 31 questions correctly. And if you want to score 7.5 bands, then you have to answer 32 to 34 questions correctly. So students, I have explained you about band scores because in your IELTS listening task, band scores are decided from your number of correct answers. Now, let's see point number 19. Students, in point number 19, I am going to give some important points that you need to consider to make your IELTS exam successful. So students, first point is listen carefully to the instructions. Students, instructions are provided at the very first section, so listen to it carefully. So the next point is about use of range of accents. Students, in your IELTS listening task, it may come different accent. So you have to get used to by it because IELTS is all about International English Language Testing System. So before going for exam, you have to do as much as possible practice to get used to by it. Now, let's see the next point, which is very important, and that is about titles. Students, you have to be very much careful regarding to your titles because if once you will understand the title, then it will be quite easy for you to get answer correct. Now, next one is very important, and that is about you have to check it out where all your questions are because this problem is faced by most of the students because they are not checking that where all the questions are. Sometimes it happens like on the front side 1 to 5 questions are there and on the other hand side 6 to 10 questions are there. They are not checking that and they will just answer 1 to 5 questions, and when once the audio goes on, then you cannot answer 6 to 10 answer and definitely you will not able to score good bands. So students, it my request that check it out where all your questions are. Let's see the next one. Now students, if you miss one question in your IELTS listening task, then just move quickly to given below question. Don't just concentrate on the question which you have lost, because if you will only concentrate to that question, then definitely you will not able to answer the given below question, and it is quite difficult to maintain a continuous place in your IELTS listening task. So students, once you miss one question, then forget about it and just move quickly to further question to get a good band scores. Now I am going to explain you the last point of number 19, and that is write what you hear. Students, for example, if it is like children below the age of 12 are not allowed without accompanied by their parents. And if the question is like the children below the age of 12 are not allowed without dash, and the options are accompanied by their parents, and the next option is by their parents. So you all will think that answer would be accompanied by their parents. But no students, that answer is incorrect, because in question it is like accompanied and in option it is accompanying. So that option is incorrect, and your correct answer is by their parents. So students, listen carefully to the audio. Students, at last of number 19, I would like to say one important thing, that when you go for your IELTS listening exam, then at that time check it out that your headphones are working properly or not. And if your headphones are not working properly, then just raise your hand. The person will come to you and will help you to sort out your problem. Now, let's say number 20, which is about listening to English every day. Now, this sounds too obvious that, oh, of course, you are going to do that. But very few students work on day-to-day practice. Students, if you want to score good bands, then all you need to do is as much as possible practice. And students, you need to understand all the different types of accents. Let's say if you are not knowing Canadian accent, then students, listen to Canadian podcast, go to YouTube and many more other online material. Now students, after getting used to by different accent, go through one-person communication and also 3 to 4 speakers conversation, because in your IELTS listening task in section 3 you are going to have 3 to 4 speakers. So students, work on that to get a good band scores. Now you have to be active listener. Students, let's say you are learning vocabulary, and while learning vocabulary, if you come across the word which you are unfamiliar with, so at that time you will make a note. You will write its meaning and one sentence for your understanding. Students, as the same way, you have to be active listener for your listening task. Students, now to be an active listener for your listening task, what you have to do is just listen to the English while you are doing some activity. Let's say you are cooking. So at that time, put your earphones and listen to English. So you can easily be a good active listener. And students, if you will be good active listener, then it will be quite easy for you to score good bands. Now, students says to me that I listen to TED Talks, English news, podcast every day 1 to 2 hours. Students, it is good, but you have to go through step by step as I have explained you. Let's say if you are not knowing Canadian accent or any other, then listen to that. Do more practice on that. Students, do practice on particular accent which you are not knowing. Students, if you will do step by step, then it will be quite easy for you to get good band score in your chosen period. Students, vocabulary is very important in your IELTS exam. Because if you are knowing good range of vocabulary, then it will be helpful for you to understand what you hear. So students, if you want to know in detail about vocabulary, then check to JME channel. I have posted one video related vocabulary. Students, why I am telling about vocabulary? Because in your IELTS listening exam, you are going to listen high level of vocabulary. So, vocabulary is important in your listening task. Now, at last, I would like to say about practice. Practice is very much important. Now, in your IELTS listening task, you have to do strategic practice to get good band score. And if you will do good practice on a right way, then it will be quite easy for you to get good band scores. Students, as we all know that some students says I have done lots of practice, still I am not able to score good bands, then they are weak in doing strategic practice. So students, do as much as possible practice strategic practice. Students, I hope that the information which I have provided to you that may helpful to you to open your door to future to get a successful career. Now, I have an important note for the students who will get connected to JME, then they will get lots of extra material after enrolling. And after enrolling, you will receive your separate username and password to access more than 1000 pages just for your listening task, which includes lots of practice tests and lots of material in detail. So students, for more information regarding to your listening task or any other query, then feel free to contact Jai Maharaj EduFocus Private Limited. Our team will try their best to sort out your problem. So thank you. Contact details are given below.